Hey there, and welcome to the Planner Pals podcast, a podcast hosted by two true Planner Pals. My name is Mark, and I go by Mark Your Pages.
And I'm Jess or Jessie Corinne, and oh my gosh, I don't think I'm ready to do this episode because just take me back. I've been home for less than 24 hours, and I'm already ready to book my flight for next year because Go Wild was, well, I'm not going to spoil it because we're going to talk about whether it was worth it, but spoilers, it was great.
Yeah, this year was exceptionally awesome. I will talk about through the points, especially around some topics of discussion while we were there too, around the size and it being smaller than last year. A little bit of a different switch up on the back end of planning things. But from my perspective as an attendee this year, I actually felt like it was better than last year, but for a few specific reasons. I think just one of my favorite parts of this year was our opportunity to speak with others behind the scenes of Go Wild. This was an opportunity that Jess and I got when we were asked to speak this year, doing our own session. We got Jess up on stage and you did amazing.
Oh my God, thank you. Because it didn't feel amazing at the time. At the time, it was just it's a panic. Oh my God, how many words did I stumble over? Especially when people send you the little clips and such, and you're like, oh my gosh, do I actually sound like that? Which you'd think I'd be used to, doing the whole videoing and editing and such, but it just feels different when it's in a room larger than this one.
It's definitely a totally different feeling. We talked about that a lot. I was like, Jess, you're okay. You literally do live streams and YouTube videos. You're like, yeah, in a room by myself talking to a camera, but you did fantastic. And even more on top of that, Jess and I got to interview and talk with people behind the scenes. So the way that we're going to set this up, this episode is really going to be focused on our experience as attendees of Go Wild Indy 2025. And we're also going to be talking, and we did some interviews with some of the volunteers from Go Wild, which last year, I know there was volunteers because you see them around, but this year I really feel like I got a much better sense of how important and integral they are to actual Go Wild.
Yeah, I very much understand that feeling because when you're attending as what I'm going to say is just an attendee, and I don't mean it in a negative way, but when you're not really paying attention to it, they just blend into the background so much. And I think that really speaks to the power of the volunteer team. They're in the background, making things run, getting things out for us as attendees to use in the sessions and such. And unless you're actively paying attention to them, they just slip out of a room, come back with a bunch of stuff, and you wouldn't even notice.
My experience this year was actually really important to have the volunteers. So we'll kick right into it. So the fun part about this year is that they did things a bit different where they actually had meet and greets. And I had flown in and I thought that we were meeting and greeting at 6 p.m. It turns out we were meeting and greeting at 3:30 p.m. on my flight. And I'm like, Jess, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Hold down the fort. You got this. And I arrived and I got into a car and I got to the hotel like a bat out of hell with my suitcase running up the escalators. And thank goodness for one of the volunteers. They were like, Mark, you're supposed to be in the planner fair. I was like, show me the way. And they led me to you. And it was a wonderful greet and meeting. And I was like, Jess, I'm here. Sorry, this is a lot.
Yeah, it was exactly like that. And I wasn't really too sure where I was supposed to be going, but the team was very good to just kind of guide you in the right direction without kind of grabbing your arm and yanking you there. They were very respectful about the fact that I had no idea what I was doing.
Well, you did fantastic. You held down the fort. I felt like it went by so fast. I mean, I got there and there was already a line. We were asked to move our line and start to curve the line. There were so many people already waiting to meet and greet with you and all of us here. And it was amazing. I don't have any other words. I was just smiling the whole entire time. My face started to hurt after a while. I was like, I hope my smile doesn't start to look fake because my cheeks are failing.
What, you mean like me on this podcast?
There's no in between. There's Jess and then there's Jess.
Literally. I don't have a happy balance in terms of my attentive face versus my resting bitch face.
It's all right. I know that it's not that, so it works out okay. But yeah, I mean, going right into that, I will say to start things off, not in a negative light, it was very positive at first, but the planner fair was definitely totally different than last year. I remember last year walking into that planner fair and it just being so overwhelming. There was so many different vendors. There was a blow up ball balloon thing over here, and there was a lights over here, and there was a llama here, and showgirls over here. I mean, it was just everything everywhere at once, and I remember feeling very overwhelmed. And when I watched in the planner this time, I don't want to say underwhelmed, but it was just such a vast difference from last year to this year. And I don't know if that was a good or a bad thing when it comes to like the vendor fair part of it, because I still feel relatively new. I feel like after next year, I can't say that I'm new, like I'm a veteran after this year. But what were your thoughts on that, comparing especially DC too, because that was your first one to last year and then to this year?
Yeah, I think that it did definitely have a different vibe to it walking in. And if we're thinking about, like, was it worth it kind of a thing, we didn't have a lot of vendor stalls where you could buy things. And honestly, I wasn't sad about it because I don't really want to go to be like further enabled to buy stationery, especially knowing that I'm going to get a bunch of it just from being at the conference, whether it's from the sponsored tables or table mate gifts or swag drops or anything like that. My suitcase is going to be under enough pressure. I don't need to like help it along by buying a bunch of other things. Also, it's one of those things like I don't really see a lot of these stationery pieces in the wild because we don't have a lot of good stationery stores where I'm based. We don't have places like Michael's and Hobby Lobby or like whatever they are. I don't even know the names of them because we don't have them. And if I knew that, I'd have even more FOMO. So walking into the Planner Fair last year where you had the Simply Gilded section and the line was going like out the door practically because everybody just wanted some of the action kind of a thing, I thought it was nicer to only have maybe a couple of the larger stalls here, those ones having a decent sized queue. But because, like you mentioned, there were less people here, any kind of queuing felt way more chill and way more manageable. Like, I do consider myself to be an extrovert, but sometimes when you get into these larger spaces with quite a large crowd, it can be quite overwhelming. I didn't feel as overwhelmed this time, and I'm not sure if it was necessarily just from there being a smaller attendee list, or if it's just like, I've done this rodeo before kind of a thing, because now I am a veteran. It's been my third year.
I think it might be a bit of both, honestly. I don't know the actual numbers, but I've heard a bunch of people talking both during Go Wild and afterwards that there was like almost like half the amount of people this year at this venue than there was last year in Texas. I don't know if that number is exactly right. I mean, it was definitely much smaller, but I agree with you. I think that was almost for the better because of a lot of what we'll talk about today, which is like the community of Go Wild. I felt like I talked to a lot more people. I felt like I had a more opportunity to talk to people. And you're absolutely right on the queue lines being shorter because, oh my gosh, last year, just the registration line alone, we were in through the hotel, outside, back inside again. I was like, is this normal for everything? And then this year there was no, I mean, by the time I got there, there was no line. And even the lines to get in on the first day did not feel as nuts or intense as last year, which I honestly see as a good thing.
It also just made it feel more intimate and kind of like you said, with being able to have more conversations with people. It also felt like those conversations were less rushed because you didn't feel like you had to get around to everybody. Not to say that like you have to talk to every single person that's there or you're like conferencing wrong or anything, but being able to just take your time with the interactions with people and go a bit more in depth with them was just a pleasant change of pace. Again, like I kind of mentioned, being the third time around, maybe I'm just better trained, but I do think that there was a big kind of assistive point by there being less people.
Well, I think also I saw a lot of the same people more than once this year, where last year I didn't feel that way. I feel like unless you had like blue hair or there was something extra exuberant about you that made you stand out, I wasn't necessarily noticing any certain people. But this year, like I was seeing multiple people. I remembered some people's names, Jess, and for me, like that's really difficult for me to do. But I really, really felt like I was making more friends and more connections this year than previously, which was awesome.
I think also with it being kind of that like community aspect and focus and such, it was actually so lovely getting to talk to the people who were on stage just as what I'm going to call like regular, quote, quote, regular community members, to the extent where I was having an interaction with one person who was part of a panel. And I didn't realize until I was on the way to the airport after the event that they had been the person on the panel. I was like, oh my God, is that like the same person? I did not even realize. I'm like, oh, I met Planner Royalty and I didn't even know.
So let's start to talk about the volunteering, because this is something this year again, I feel like I'm experiencing Go Wild for like in a totally different way. I think the opportunity for us to talk with the volunteers is really important, but something that we actually talked to Jasmine about was the importance of volunteers in the team and how they actually make Go Wild happen. While like, yes, she's like the face or like the person who is like organizing, like she's not doing it alone. What do you love about having volunteers come in and just be a part of this? There's so many cool things that go on behind the scenes.
I think, well, being a volunteer, I think is just such an excellent way, especially for those people that are introverts that might feel a little anxious about sitting at a table with just random people. It's kind of like this ready-made group where they're a part of it. No matter what, they're all part of the team. And they play an integral role in the production of the events because we really can't do any of this without them. Every single thing, I mean, that you see, it has the volunteers, all of their efforts, and it's really because how passionate they become about it that we're able to do this. We are a volunteer run organization in many ways. So yeah,
It's amazing.
it's so important.
We talked to some of them. They were like putting together tables and chairs. We talked to them in I call it the conveyor belt of stationery as they got the bags together. So it was so cool to see that.
You kind of can think of it as like the volunteers are like the unsung heroes almost. And I know that when people get up on stage and such, whether they're like, the presenters or the kind of MC for any of the events, they do shout out the volunteers. But unless you actually get to go backstage and see the kind of mayhem that's going on, I don't think you could like necessarily appreciate how much work they're doing. And it's volunteer work. Like, they're also here to enjoy the conference and be part of it and all of that kind of stuff. But they're also doing a whole bunch of extra work that we don't necessarily get to see and appreciate unless you get this kind of behind the scenes access or it's called out by the people who go on stage. I know we've talked about it a couple of times already, but being able to go backstage this year and see all of that, like kind of firsthand, was really exciting for me. Also, just like trying to go in there and be like, hey, can I talk to you guys? Please don't let me interrupt because you've obviously got really important things to do. But everybody was so nice and very accommodating of us, like putting a camera in their face and talking to them.
No, they did a good job. So we asked them a few questions. So Jess and I split duties during Go Wild because, we're partners in crime and that's how we do that. So I got to ask them a few questions up front. And the first one we had to have fun with. You got to break the ice when you're interrupting somebody during the putting things together, which if you're watching this on YouTube or the video podcast, you'll see people actually doing things as we're talking to them. You can't stop. So the first question I asked them is, what is their current favorite planner product?
I would say just any of the stickers because I like to be very creative with, especially with my planning and my budgeting with the various journals that I've kind of gotten over the years. With my wife's influence of being at some of the planning conventions here.
So I am this year using a just scribble.
Ooh,
I'm loving that layout. So I'm trying to see if
Diversify
that's
the
my
planning.
piece.
I like that. It won't be your planner piece.
No.
None of us will ever
No,
find
we
it.
switched it up too much.
My favorite planner product is stickers.
It's a big sticker group.
Yeah. Mainly because I don't have time to really write down what I'm doing, but I do have time to like pull out a sticker and put it there, and then it just saves things for later.
I'm gonna have to say my pens.
Okay.
I really like the gel pen.
Okay. Any certain
and-
brand that you're in love with right now?
Zebra,
Zebra.
it's doing its thing.
Who else?
It makes me happy.
I love it.
So I am obsessed with Hobonichi Cousin.
Good choice.
I have an unhealthy amount of washi.
All of us, right?
No, it's really an unhealthy.
Oh, it's really
amount.
bad. I love how straight-faced you are too. You're like, no, I have a problem.
It's a problem.
I think probably my pens.
What
I have
kind?
a Zebra Sarasa right now.
Yeah, that's a good one. The mark-on ones, or are we doing with like the other like colored ones? Like the vintage colors? Have you tried those?
No.
Hardest question so far, everyone's answered. What is your current favorite planner product?
I blame you, Mark. Fountain pens.
Yes!
I am now obsessed and have spent way too much money on fountain pens,
Me too.
but I love them. They're gentler on the wrist, so my longer writing sessions don't hurt, and I love that.
So I'm falling down the rabbit hole with those pet tapes, and I love it. They're beautiful and they're different. It's like a cross between stickers and washi tape.
I like stickers.
Big sticker grill.
Yeah.
Big sticker grill.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Stickers will forever be one of my favorite planner products, even if my daughters try to steal my stickers all the
They
time.
end up on like the inside window of your car and you're like, where did you get that one? That was expensive.
They've been surprisingly good about that, but I've also been managing to get just little things here and there. Like I got a dino pen for my 7-year-old from the Pip Sticks bag.
Yeah.
she'll be so excited.
As somebody who doesn't, I don't know, use stickers as often as others, I mean, I'm getting there. I'm using stickers a little bit more liberally, but I still have major sticker anxiety. It was still nice to hear that there is such a love and appreciation for stickers out there. But of course, that was just an icebreaker question. We had to get into the hard-hitting stuff. So we also wanted to know from them why they decided to be a volunteer.
For me, it's kind of giving back because this community helped me a lot with my mental wellness. And so it was something that I went to when I was like in dark places. So I feel like this is a good way of giving back to the community.
I am not a out front type of person. I love the back, and I love to be able to help and see everybody's face when they see all the magic. So
You're like the behind the scenes at Disney when they see the characters and you get like so happy. They're like, look how happy they are.
I did that. I
Did
helped
you?
with that, right? So this is my 5th Go Wild and my first time volunteering. So I figured this was a new way for me to experience Go Wild.
So this is my first year volunteering for Go Wild.
Okay.
But I love volunteering for conferences in general just because you get to make new friends, meet new people. And then you feel like part of your heart and soul goes into this and into everybody having a good time.
So tell us a little bit about why you decided to volunteer and what you like about it so far.
I just wanted to see what the behind the scenes was of Go Wild because I've seen on social media how it is and wanted to participate.
I like volunteering because I like helping and like getting stuff done makes me really happy. And helping other people, like if I know the answer to a question that they need to go somewhere or whatever, I like to be the one that's open to answer that.
I like the camaraderie, really. I mean, it's fun to, just be part of something that's really just bigger than me.
So this is my first year volunteering and attending.
Oh, fantastic.
So I figured this was the easiest way to meet people.
My favorite part about volunteering at Go Wild is just doing all the things. So like talking with everybody is definitely fun, but being engaged in the action, like behind the scene action and everything that goes into it, I love it. I feel very productive, and especially like our friend John said, like you get to build camaraderie with other people, especially new people. And so like you're engaging in similar tasks and helping each other out. So it goes a little bit beyond of just the normal typical Go Wild experience.
What do you like so far about being a volunteer for Go Wild?
It's a lot of fun. I was coming to this alone. I don't have any planner friends in my area. I'm making some, but so it's kind of the same thing. A couple of people have said now is that it was a way to force myself to kind of meet people and talk to people and just have fun.
It was so heartwarming to hear them answer the way that they did, because you can tell that it's super genuine. Even the people who it was their very first year, I loved that they talked about making friends as volunteers, that some of them are very introverted or they weren't really knowing anything too much about Go Wild or the community, as they saw this as a fantastic way to get involved. And that was probably just one of my favorite parts where, they're sitting there talking like, I made a friend and I didn't think I was going to, or I wasn't sure. And like, this is really awesome. And I got that same feeling this year out in the crowd and like at our tables too. Like there's something magical. I don't know what it was.
No, I loved hearing, especially from the introverted people, right? Because as we kind of touched on, it can be overwhelming when there are so many people there. And even though we had a smaller attendee list for this year, it can still be overwhelming if you're going for your first time or by yourself or something. So we had a couple of volunteers who said that they were coming by themselves. It was a really good opportunity for them to not only help and give back, because that's lovely, but just being the person who knows the answer. So it's like easier, I suppose, to have those interactions with people without feeling like you have to go and barge into people's conversations or shoulder tap and be like, hey, can I be your friend or anything? They're just going to come up to you because they already have questions, and it gives you an opportunity to like kick off a volley kind of a thing.
And there's some veterans too who have been here for years. Like I felt like it's like when you go to like Home Depot, it's like, I've worked here for 8 years. Like I feel like some of them have pins that they're just keeping on their lanyards that they replace every year. And it shows how much of a Go Wild veteran they are. And they're so helpful. And even some of them too, like I remember a few of them from last year. They remembered me, they remembered us. They were just like, it feels so good, especially when you're nervous going backstage right before you go up, for someone to be like, you're going to do great, and be your cheerleader that isn't, your planner pal partner that's telling you like, Jess, breathe. Here's a bag to hyperventilate in. We go on in 2.
Yeah, I just appreciated there was one part there where we were standing backstage and I'm like, nope, can't do it. I'm going for a walk. And you're like, okay, bye. And I'm just like doing laps behind the stage.
You have to do that. I mean, I have like a jumping thing that I do that just helps me get out like all the nerves. And I'm sure everyone looks at me, but I was just like, I'm already a ball of energy. So it has to expel somewhere, because as soon as I get up on stage, it like comes rushing back at you, but in a different way, because then you're just there. And you and I did a really good job the night before kind of choreographing a little bit. But then as soon as we got up on stage, like that all went out the door.
Literally. It's like we wrote out all of these notes and I'm like, I think I looked at them once and that was when you were speaking so that I would know when you were done and when I was supposed to like cue in or whatever. But oh dear.
Well, you did great. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I've gotten out of it as well, kind of post, is the feedback that we got instantly afterwards. And we'll, again, talk a lot more about like our session specifically and others in the follow-up episode to this. But again, that community part of it was great. And one of my favorite things, and you and I talked about this, we were like, I think we're doing a good thing here, is people were like, your chemistry is awesome. Like, how did this happen? And getting to like share the story of how we were just Instagram bullet journal friends that have turned into planner pals that co-host this amazing podcast that has this growing, incredible community within itself. Like it just, it overjoys me.
No, I really like to see the kind of overlap between the Go Wild community and the Planner Pals community. Like, obviously not everybody who goes to Go Wild is a Planner Pal, but by being there like as the podcast, it gave us more of an opportunity to like make new Planner Pal friends and bring them into our circle. Like, you can sit with us.
No, it was really cool. Some of my favorite conversations, though, were the ones where they were like, your fountain pen episode is my absolute favorite. And you pen-abled me, and I bought 4 or 5 fountain pens, and I still always just laugh at that one because I think of all the episodes, that's the one that you're least like about, because you're like, I mean, I have one, but like, I'm not as enthusiastic as y'all.
Yeah, this is just Mark's time to monologue, and I'll just sit there and be like, oh yeah, nibs.
It's really amazing. So thanks to all of the planner pals that are new, or if you've been OGs from the very beginning and you were there, I just wanted to say thank you, because it really made me feel good. I mean, I still feel like we're a newer podcast because we're a little over a year and a half now at this point. Like, we were looking back on videos because you posted your vlog from last Go Wild while we were at Go Wild, I think.
Yep. The one that said like, oh yeah, we're like 6 episodes in right now, when we were like real baby. And then I have to remember like that's 12 weeks though, because we do one every 2 weeks. So you were already like a quarter of a year old at that point, but it still felt very new and fresh. It still feels very new and fresh. I mean, heck, we got on to record today and we're like, how do we intro this? Like, what do we say?
We are professionals. We are professionals.
Of course, the volunteers who are sitting at the tables with us and like going backstage and grabbing swag bits and such, that's only kind of like one type of volunteer we have for this event, because we also have all of the amazing sponsors who bring us all of this awesome stuff to play around with. One of those being the table sponsors, or the people who on the first day, they've like decked out one of the tables that sits 10 people with a whole bunch of swag and goodies and awesome bits. And I think that getting to see that setup process, that was really fun, because when you get there on the first day and, you know, you go into the room and such, you see all of the amazingness. It can be, first of all, kind of overwhelming. It's like, oh my gosh, where am I going to sit? And second, it can kind of take like a back seat in terms of like, who put this together? Like, who was the one who came up with the concept and like got all of these goodies for us and laid them all out and such. So getting to see them do that process, that was really cool.
I mean, the other part was definitely us talking to them, because similar to the volunteers, these are businesses that are sponsoring these tables. Not only that, but they are loading them up with different setups. And there are bigger companies that are there, like Zebra was there again this year. It's always fantastic to see them. They had their tables filled with stuff. Archer and Olive had their table, which was stunning. Everything about that table. I wanted to sit there, Jess. I don't know about you, but I wanted to sit there, but I was like, I already have all of this stuff.
It was literally that. I'm just like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. I could totally sit there. And like, the thing for me is that when I sit at a table, I want to know that I'm going to get, you know, if we're thinking about, is it worth it? I'm going to get value out of it. It's going to be stuff that I'm actually going to use, kind of a thing. So I'm kind of looking at the tables, thinking about like, you know, would I use these items? How would I use these items, and kind of thing. But given the fact that I have so many Archer and Olive products at this stage, which I love, don't get me wrong, I'm just like, we don't need more, Jessica, and you can get the ones that you don't have if you really, really need to. But my favorite people to talk to, though, like you kind of mentioned, were those small businesses. The ones who were possibly even there for their first time at Go Wild, both as attendees and table sponsors. Those people like really just stepped up and decked out the tables in some of the most awesome and creative ways. I know we had like Danielle or Constance. I love her vibe. It's so bright and so fun. Daisy Chain Rebellion as well. I loved the pieces that they put together with the little kind of like tiered box. In my mind, I call it a snackle box. I know it's not a snackle box. Is it a tackle box? I don't know. It has tiers and it had a bunch of stickers and the designs were so stinking cute. So that was really cool to see too.
Yeah, I think technically it's like a kit and caboodle is what it's kind of known for. I mean, when we were younger, like you would put like all your makeup or your sticker things inside of there. I mean, you could use it as a tackle box if you wanted to, but they shared a lot with us actually about their vibe and like what they were going for. So like, let's not talk for them. Let's have them explain it themselves.
Hi, my name is Jeanette. This is my sister Melissa, and we own Daisy Chain Rebellion, a planner sticker company.
This table is amazing, first of all, and I know you're only just setting it up, which is amazing. So tell us a little bit about what you all love so much, I guess, about stickers, and like, do you have a certain aesthetic, or are you just like, what's inspiring you all right now?
I love all things cute, but I also like all things quirky. I like for our stickers to actually be playful. I want to recapture a little bit of what I loved about stickers in the first place when I was a kid.
Yeah, we were both born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s. We love everything 80s. We love retro, the caboodles. So we wanted to kind of bring that. You're never too old to love stickers.
So you all have a lot of really cool stuff on here, but I want to ask you about your sponsorship, right? So is this the first year you all are sponsoring a table?
It is.
Okay, awesome. So tell us a little bit about what went into your thought for this theme.
So so Go Wild actually reached out to us 29 days ago. We were like, oh, we'll go to Go Wild next year. But they reached out and we're like, oh yes, we have to do it. So we just went out shopping and looking at things, and she saw some puffballs. And she's like, could we incorporate like these puffballs, maybe lay them on the table? And then it became our whole theme is puffballs.
Well,
So
it started off as a joke. We're joking back and forth, but we can do a puffball this and a puffball that. And we thought, well, you know what? Why shouldn't our theme just be puffballs? We're having so much fun with it. Maybe everyone else will also.
Oh, they definitely will. I noticed the one on top of this piece, but now I'm seeing some more over there. This is going to be amazing.
We have little puffball wands for people to wave. We tried to make things interactive, so we've got some bracelet making stations.
Well, if nothing else, the two of us, especially when we get together, imagination, we run out of time before we run out of ideas.
Those two sisters were my favorite. I mean, just talking to them and having them share stories about them being younger and then watching them start a new business, like it was so cool.
They were actually the sweetest, and I just loved hearing the story behind how they designed the table, because I know that obviously this kind of planning goes into it, but it's not something I kind of actively focus on. In my mind, it's like, oh yeah, they come with the swag bits and they lay them out in some aesthetically pleasing way, but hearing those stories behind how they selected the elements and what was going to go on the table, that was really cool to hear too. Another person I was really excited to check in with is someone I consider to be a Go Wild OG, and hearing the story behind her table was really cool too.
I'm Kristen, Christiane Designs. This year is special because we're celebrating our 15-year anniversary. More than half of our team is actually Mexican. Okay. So we are celebrating our quinceañera.
Oh, I love that.
So I asked my husband to come up with the theme this year, because I feel like every year I've come up with it's like a template. It's like everything is the same, and I kind of wanted something different. So I let him basically decide it all. Oh. And then he told me what he wanted, and I turned it into our table. So I'm really excited about it because it's something totally different that we've never done before, and I just can't wait for people to see it.
My name is Damien, Kristen's husband. And like she said, a lot of our crew is Hispanic. Okay. But there's a lot of different cultures here. Mm-hmm. So, it is our 15th year anniversary, so we figured let's do a quinceañera.
I love it.
Quinceañera is kind of more like a wedding style. Okay. So I wanted to do more of like Hispanic kind of culture. Okay. But also quinceañera, but also not quinceañera. So it's more of a 15-year fiesta.
Okay, I love that. So we got like candy over here. We got some stickers. Like, what's your favorite snack that's at this table?
There's some coconut or Mexican flags. Okay. That are my favorite, and the Duvalines are probably my second best.
Those look like Dunkaroos. Is that basic? Is that what they are?
Pretty much, except they don't come with a stick.
It was also cool just to see that both for Daisy Chain Rebellion and Chrissy Ann Designs, it's very much like a family affair. So we have the sisters working together and then the whole Chrissy Ann Designs family out there setting up the tables together. And also nice that for all of our sticker lovers, they were very well taken care of in terms of sponsored tables.
You can't talk about stickers without having a sticker party. So talking with Erica too, as someone who was creating and sponsoring a table herself, hers was really awesome as well.
Yeah, hers was awesome enough that I had to sit at her table because it had a denim pencil bag. I'm like, I need that pencil bag.
Hello, Planner Pals. My name is Erica. I am the owner and designer behind the sticker party. I am based in Canada, so Canadian business at Go Wild. I do primarily stickers, which I do hand draw most of them myself. What else? I do a lot of stuff. I did Go Wild merch this year. I do a lot of stuff in like the bookish and reading kind of niche.
Tell us a little about what you love so much about Go Wild.
What I love about Go Wild is by far the community. I think everyone fits in here. Everyone is loved, and there's just so many friends, and I always feel like my most confident self here.
Tell us about your theme for this year.
My theme, honestly, I don't have much of a theme. I do a lot of I did advent calendars last year. I did Go Wild merch. Like I said, I have my sticker subscription. So a lot of it is just like extra products from that, which, yeah, if you're ever expanding your line outside of stickers, this is a great way to show it off.
I just loved Erica's whole vibe, and as I said, I had to sit at her table because I love that pencil bag, but hers was very much like a contender against Danielle or Constance's table because I loved the bright colors and I thought that the ducks were so dang cute. So it was good that we also got to check in with her and chat about her table.
So let's start off, introduce yourself to the Planner Pals.
Okay, so my name's Danielle, but my shop's name's Constance. That's a long story, but yeah, I've been in the planner community since 2019. So
Amazing. Well, the table looks amazing. I know y'all are still setting up. Tell us a little bit about your theme for this year for sponsoring this table.
Okay, so my theme is based off of actually my original character. She's called Love Zombie, and her colors are like teal, pink, and blue, and I just like bright colors, so I wanted to go off that. So we tried to match almost everything.
It looks amazing. I'm partially color deficient, but I can tell from the shading that it looks amazing. No, I can see color. I just don't know all of them. No. Tell us a little bit about what you love so much about Go Wild.
Okay, so for me, it was like you're online and you see all these people, right? But when you're together, it's so different. I honestly feel like, okay, I don't want to tear up, but my first Go Wild was in DC, and I feel like I came alive because there were people who got it. You know what I mean? Like we all like the same things, and everyone here is nice. So that's the plus. I don't know. It's like family almost in a way.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think hers was probably one of my favorites just because of how it was decorated. Like all of it, the ducks, the lights, the everything. Like she had it all going on, but like that's what it's all about. I didn't get to sit at like a over the top table like hers was, but I did get to sit at the Edding table. Have you heard about Edding before? Because now that I've talked about it more, everyone like that's in like Germany or like Europe is like, yeah, they're like our Sharpie. But have you heard about them before Go Wild?
I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where they sound super, super familiar, but if you had said Edding to me, I wouldn't necessarily have picked Hen Brand.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you either, because I was just like, I don't know, but it made a lot of sense. I mean, I sat at that table and I made the decision that even though I have a lot of pens, that I didn't have their pens. And actually, before I even sat at that table in the planner fair, they had a table set up and they were showing these amazing glitter brush pens that they have and these metallic ones. And I was just like, these are so cool. I actually bought a pack of the metallic ones because I was like, these are neat. And then when I sat at their table, they had a box, and in that box was metallic brush pens plus so many amazing kits of stuff. It was incredible, including so this has been my favorite thing in the entire world that I got from Go Wild, because it looks like a marker and it's a pencil holder. And my favorite part, I don't know if you were there when I was talking to them, like as they were cleaning up, but they were like, oh, we noticed you had our pencil holder up on stage with zebra mild liners inside of it. And I was like, is it sacrilegious to do that? Like, I'm not sponsored by you yet.
Yeah, no, I think that as somebody who has a lot of pens as well, I intentionally didn't sit at a pen table. But that kind of comes back to the question of like, is it worth it? For me, sitting at a pen table, knowing that I have my sets of pens that I like and I use and I trust and I don't really need anymore, but also don't really want anymore, sitting at a table that didn't have pens makes a lot of sense for me. And that is a choice that I made to make it so that my experience was worth it. Sitting at the table like the sticker party, as someone who doesn't necessarily use a lot of functional stickers, but really just wanted that pencil bag, and now I have the pencil bag and I'm like so happy. I kept like pretty much everything that was on that table, like that was designated to me. I didn't go stealing other people's things before anybody calls me out for that. But making sure that you're sitting at a table where the stuff that you're being provided with or given aligns with how you are as a planner, I think is kind of important. Because the first year that I went to Go Wild, I just kind of plonked myself down at the first table I could see that had space, and I kept a pair of tweezers. That was the entire thing that I kept from the entire table. That wasn't really worth it. It was Alta new. It had a bunch of like stamping related stuff. And as someone who doesn't really stamp, or at least wasn't really into stamping at that point in time, it was not necessarily my finest choice of the hour. But I do love those tweezers. They're excellent tweezers. Like quality wise, not comparable, but
I remember last year I had to swap somebody for the stamps that were on their table because I did not sit at their table, but I didn't know about the importance of like choosing a table last year. Like I knew it was the thing that people did, but like there's a strategy to it. And I agree with you. Like making it worth it is really important. You don't always just want to go for like the biggest, most crazy and exuberant table. You could, but like Zebra always is piled up. Like it's like Christmas morning on their tables, I feel like. But when you already have mild liner collections and they aren't creating any more colors, there's not a whole lot of like new things you can really get. Like even this year, there was a handful of mild liners inside of some of the packs and freebies and drops and stuff. And not that I don't love them, but I already have like, I don't even know if triplicates is a word, but I have triples of a lot of those colors. Like I was giving them to friends at work or telling my wife to take them to school with her to let other people have them as well. But like I don't have edding pens and markers and fine liners and brush pens and metallic pens. It was cool also just to like discover a new brand as well and get to experience like what that was. And it's also cool, and I know you can definitely attest to this too, when those sponsors are there and they come to your table and they're talking to you and like getting to know you. They're a business, but you also realize that they are a real person, right? And I think that is a really important part of like those table sponsors and getting to know them as well.
yeah, I think that that makes it such like a special gift. It's almost kind of like if you got a book that was like a signed copy from the author kind of thing. Like if you went to like a book signing and they signed it and like put your name on it and such. And when you're sitting at the table and you get to see all the stuff like that in itself is an exciting experience, and that's going to be like, part of your ticket price, like, worth it kind of a thing. But then being able to see the person who made the magic happen for the tables where people who set them up were the people who supplied the goods and were also at the conference, because that isn't for everybody. Like I know we had a couple of sponsored tables there where the people who were sponsoring the table had kind of like shipped their things in and had like one of the volunteers set them up and such, which again, volunteers coming in clutch, because otherwise it's like you sit down at the table and nothing's been set up and it's like, here's a box from FedEx, unpack your stuff kind of a thing. But it just adds to the experience and kind of like highlights the value that isn't just like exchange of money for goods kind of a thing. Because at the end of the day, if you want a bunch of swag and you only want pieces that are going to be things that you're actually going to use and they fit your vibe and your aesthetic and all of that kind of a thing, you could take your ticket price and go out and buy that stuff and probably be very happy. But you're going to miss out on all of those opportunities to connect with the other people who are there and get to have conversations with people who are just enthusiastic and like the same kind of things that you like, and don't look at you weird when you get like anxious about putting a sticker onto paper, because that means that the sticker's gone now and you're never going to be able to use that again. And then like, what if in 3 years time the perfect opportunity comes up for that sticker, but you place the sticker and now you don't have the sticker? Like they're not going to look at you like you're kind of loco because they get it.
No, you're 100%. I do have a question for you. You mentioned about the importance of that signed copy book. Do you think Bailey, the person who I got my book from the book swap, who did sign a lot of my book, do you think that they were there?
I don't know, man, but Bailey, we have some choice. Okay, Mark loves his book. Mark is so happy. I was like, Bailey, what gives? This is not a gift.
To give a little behind this scene, so a part of the crop this year, which happens on Friday night, there was a book swap. And so you had to pick a book and wrap it, and you would write the theme or kind of the genre of the book and then the first line of the book. Then you put it on a table and they divvied people up, and you went and picked up your book, and then you did stuff kind of around that with the rest of the crop. I got Lord of the Flies, which I was excited for because I've actually never read that. But Bailey had read that book extensively, highlighted pages, notes all around the margins, a very well-loved book. They did all the work for me. I don't even know if I have to read the book, Jess. Like, it's all done.
And Mark's like, I'm really happy with this. And I'm like, I'm glad you are, because I'm not. Like, 'cause in my mind, I was like, the book swap is like, it's another type of gift kind of a thing. So I was thinking like, secondhand book, totally fine. Like if it's good quality still, in good nick, hasn't been graffitied with all of these like annotated notes, which it's kind of silly to say that because the session that we were literally doing at the crop was book annotation. But I'm like, look at you stealing Mark's thunder. Now he can't go and do his own book annotations because it's got all yours in there. I had some things that I was feeling. I was in my feels. I'm trying not to let it bother me.
Yeah, when we talk about that book annotating session, though, it gave me such anxiety because it's one thing to annotate. There's another thing to draw with markers over top of your page. I will leave it as that. I don't want to ruin everything for the next episode where we talk more in detail, but I needed a Xanax because that was stressing me out.
Whereas I'm sitting here just like, oh, I love this. This is so great. This could be a really fun creative project for you and your friends. And then other people are sitting there like, why would you do that? You're defacing the book. I'm like, be nice to the nice lady. She came out here to show us her creative talents. I'm all for it.
Yeah, she was amazing. I absolutely love talking to her. And now getting to know her after that session too and seeing what else she's doing online was really awesome. But all of the defacing of the books aside, it was really cool still just at your tables having those conversations and being able to, and then, working on the crop and listening to the rest of people talk about what's going on and like have these opportunities with the product. So it was really awesome at the end of the day. Like I said, I think that a lot of what you get out of it, and Jess, you mentioned it before, is like if you're just there for the products, you could easily buy them twice and 3 times over with the price of your flight and your hotel and like the cost of the ticket. But you really are paying for the community just as much as you are like the free swag stuff that you get too. I think there's no denying that whatsoever. And like I said, this year I do honestly truly feel like I got so much more of that than I had previously.
This has been one of the most like cup filling activities that I have done for myself in a really long time, because you hear so much about people, coming to the conference and such and talking about the community aspect and all of that. Oftentimes when people say the same thing over and over again, my personal rebel brain kicks in. It's like, oh yeah, whatever. It's a conspiracy. Like they've all like talked to each other and they're just trying to feed me some BS kind of a thing. And so rebel brain had to kind of like check herself a little bit this time, because I came away from the conference just being like, actually, they're right. Like the community aspect of this and getting to have those interactions was so positively impactful that I would totally recommend this experience to anybody who feels like they want to go and find their Planner people.
100%. There's multiple people who said you're finding your tribe and your people. This was similar to me with my full-time job in design operations. I felt like a solo person at work because I was very interested in this topic and I was the only one kind of doing it. And then I went to a design ops conference and you're surrounded by like-minded people talking and sharing about the same things. And you come back like energized. And that's exactly how I feel in this context too. I think we kind of I think you talked about kind of being like a little bit of like a slump a few weeks ago, right in our episode. When I came back from my personal vacation and then I knew that Go Wild was happening, I had this like zone where I was just like, I'm not feeling very motivated to do anything. I wasn't motivated to create content. I wasn't motivated to create any YouTube videos. Like the only thing I really look forward to, honestly, was recording episodes of the podcast because it is different. But coming back from Go Wild though, Jess, you'll be proud of me. I already recorded 2 YouTube videos. I already worked on a bunch of reels. I'm like back in planner mode. I've got a bunch of stuff set up. Like it's just exactly what I feel like I needed to do that. And it wasn't so much just from the speakers and the talks. It was just from talking about planning with other people and like how they do it and what they're doing that got me as excited.
Yeah, I would very much agree. I was literally standing in the shower thinking about it today. My shower's leaking, so that's its own kind of like can of worms in terms of a life problem. And I was thinking about the idea of taking time for yourself and taking vacation days and all of these kind of things, and thinking about like when's my next vacation and what am I doing for that, and like how do I kind of capture that cup filling aspect of it. So it actually feels like restful. And I was thinking about the previous Go Wilds we've had and whether I kind of came away feeling the same. And I feel like this one has been the best in terms of making me feel more renewed and rejuvenated and re-excited and like re-motivated to do things. All the re's, all of them. Re all up in this. But I was thinking about like some people to get their cup filled or like, to take care of themselves or whatnot. They want to take themselves off to like a tropical island and sip Mai Tais at the beach or whatever. It's not going to be me. I don't like sand. That's another issue. But I think that for me, it's very much that social connection because I don't have that in my job. Like we get to hang out and we get to chat and I get to like, talk to people in the comments and such like that. But there's a lot of magic being in the room where it happens, like getting to meet face to face and feeling that energy of being in a space with other people, which I don't have in any other aspect of my life, really.
And even John Green kind of talked about this idea of these hybrid type societies or groups, where this is an exact kind of example of that, where we share things online, but we also have this ability to have a physical space to meet and talk and create, especially with Go Wild. And I thought that was a really awesome connection. And it made a lot of sense because it's exactly what I feel like Go Wild is, like a coming together of the minds in a physical space, which is cool.
Yeah, I know that after my first Go Wild experience and thinking about like the monetary cost of that, ignoring the fact that I tacked on a US holiday with it, but like just thinking about like, the ticket and the hotel and the flights and all of that just to get there, because when you live at the ass end of the world, those things certainly add up. And I was, the way I kind of pitched it to Vogel, I was like, this is going to be a one-time thing. Like I probably won't do this again. So I really just want to go and experience it because I'd seen it online while I had been a teacher and it was like smack bang in the middle of term 1 for me every single time. So I'm like, yeah, there's no way we're going to be able to do that because you have to like take time off and then not get paid for that, but then also pay for everything. No. But I literally went into it expecting it just to be a one-time thing, and now it's like no. This is the annual pilgrimage. We're going to make it happen, regardless of what we need to do. If I need to go get down and sell my body to the night, well, I probably won't do that, but like anything before that, like maybe I'll start taking feet pics. Nobody wants to see it, but maybe they do.
Or you could start a Patreon.
I hate these ideas. If I just want way better.
You can up your ad revenue on YouTube.
Put mid-roll ads? Never.
There are many more options than selling your feet and becoming a woman of the night to Go Wild. I'm just throwing that out there.
You probably have a point. I'm not ready to hear it yet, though.
Well, one thing we wanted to also do is obviously spend time with Jasmine. I mean, we caught her right before the pajama jammer. Is that how you say it? I can't ever talk.
You stuff this up every time. I'm like, you have been 2 years in a row now, mister, and I know you didn't go to plan jammer the first time, but that's no excuse.
Talking to her, I was like, oh, pajama jom's coming up. She was like,
and she looked
what?
at him like, yeah, buddy, good job. You tried.
She's like, I'm exhausted. I don't even know what you're saying right now. Sure. But we did spend some time with Jasmine and talk to her even more about what Go Wild means to her in the community and like the importance of that. This city is amazing. We've been walking around and checking stuff out. It was a good spot to be.
It just happened. It was just pure luck that we ended up here. It wasn't the original intention. As you know, Jeanette, our founder, has ALS, and so we wanted to be as close to her as possible. She lives about 2 hours away.
Okay.
And so, that was the reason for this location, but it ended up working out beautifully.
One of the biggest things that we've talked about with everyone here, what they've told us, is about the Go Wild community. I know that's been such a pivotal, important part of it, but I'm curious what it means to you. You've been a part of these since the beginning. This was a big one from, running things this year and making things happen. So I'm just curious for you, like, what is the coolest part from your perspective about this community?
It really is just watching everybody interact with each other, watching the friendships that form. I've been very, very blessed myself personally in that the majority of my friend group, like day-to-day friend group, comes from the Wild community. I didn't know them before.
That's so cool.
To this day, I still have friends that I met from the very first one that, a couple of them are from my city that we had no idea we lived in the same city, and our friends, our kids became friends, and, we've spent holidays, we traveled together, we, outside of Go Wild, and it's so much more than what happens at Go Wild. It's what happens after Go Wild, like how those friendships continue. And I think for me, that's the best part of, seeing everyone, and that's what I want everyone to take.
Yeah, and the people that are sitting and meeting each other, someone said earlier what I loved so much about it is that you can be sitting at a table with strangers. And a lot of the times, especially in the planner community, tend to be somewhat introvert. We've got our crazy ones like me and Mo and others that are out there having fun all the time, right? That you can be sitting at a table and just introduce yourself, and then suddenly you're talking about the planners that you like, or your favorite pens or products or techniques and things like that. It's been great. There's so many different events that go on, from the opening night, the pajama jam party, plan jam, right?
Plan Jam,
Plan
yeah.
Jamma. Is there a certain event that goes on during Go Wild that you look most forward to?
All of the events are absolutely amazing, but I think for me, it's the moment that I see people starting to arrive, like even before the events start, and they start running into their friends. I mean, because it happens for me. And so I see that in other people. There's this group of 3 ladies, and I absolutely adore. I mean, we'll talk sometimes. We very rarely talk, but because I'm horrible at social media, but we'll chat a little bit, and but we see each other, and it's like we're old friends. And seeing all of that as people start coming in, to me, that is my absolute favorite part.
Yeah, it is. The hotel lobbies are this like beautiful space that just started to bring people together. You're seeing, I think, gets you excited. We're creating these communities online. Like you said, it goes past what's happening in person. But like the keynote speaker talked about today, like this community transcends the media or where it is. It's in person, it's hybrid, there's so many different ways to experience it, which I think is fantastic, which is also what makes it really special. And like you said, those friendships go well beyond this. And this year, Jess and I, being able to go up on stage and talk together and do that in person,
Right.
and have people be like, I watch you on the internet,
I don't know if you noticed, but this year I really placed an emphasis on those community members, and that reflected on who we had on stage, where they maybe weren't necessarily people that had, thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers, but they still connected with people that were in the audience because they know them,
Oh yeah.
and being able to engage with them in person, I think is huge.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. Now, I know tonight you said you're giving a big announcement
I am.
for everyone.
Yes.
We know that this is going to come out a little bit afterwards, so everyone that was here is going to find this out soon. But for everyone who will be watching afterwards that wasn't able to attend this year, are you okay with sharing your special news?
Yes, absolutely. So next year, 2026, is our 10th year since our very first event. Our first event was in New Orleans in 2016.
Okay.
And so in 2026, we're going back to New Orleans.
We're going
to celebrate
back.
year 10.
Oh.
So we're super excited. We're going to have so much fun. And, we get a couple of weeks off, and then it's time to get back into it, start planning.
It's insane to think that I mean, that's how long these things take to get together, but so much props to you and to your team and everyone else. And again, thank you so much for continuing to put this on. I know every single person is going to have an amazing time, and they're going to start screaming when they find out that special news.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I can't wait. And I do really want to add that none of this, I could not have done any of this without the team that I have. They are absolutely amazing. They, being able to have people that I can rely on that, can just take things, that they're so talented in so many different ways. And I just feel so lucky to have them.
With getting to do the behind the scenes interviews and all of that kind of thing, like getting to talk to the speakers and the volunteers and then Jasmine, I think my favorite moment from those was actually just getting to hear about her favorite Go Wild moment. That just felt really special because oftentimes when you think about like a favorite moment, you're thinking like, oh, who was your favorite session, or like coming in on the first day and like getting to get to the swag tables and all of those kind of things. That's the stuff that we often hear about from other people. It's like getting to be into the room or like, connecting and such, but having her talk about before anything even happens and just when people are coming in like the day before, that felt really special. That was really nice to hear from her.
No, it absolutely was. And she's amazing. I know, like, I told her over and over again how amazing she is, but she just kept reiterating, this is not just me. This is a team of people. These are the volunteers. These are the people who are coming to Go Wild that make it what it is. I mean, anybody could put together, maybe not anybody, it takes a special person, but put together a conference. But that doesn't mean that people are going to come. Oh, wait a second, Jess, she did tell people about when the next one is going to be, right?
Yeah, that was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, so we got to hear it a little bit before everybody else did, but she did announce that next year they're going to be taking it back to the first one, which is in New Orleans. So that's where next year is going to be. So it was cool to get like a little sneak peek in on that. But that people are already posting online, like, see you in New Orleans. Like, there's no thought. They don't even care who is going to be there. They just know like some of their friends are going to be there. And there'll be some type of planning conversations and speakers and fun and a pajama jam party. Like, they know these things are going to be there. It just becomes a part of what it is. So that alone, I think, speaks volumes around how people find value in it. Like, is it actually worth it? Like, when you literally find out where it's going to be next year and you're basically booking your trips and taking off from work, you know it's good.
Oh yeah, I already started looking up ticket prices. Like, we don't even know what month it's going to happen. And I was just like, oh yeah, we'll just do some ballpark amounts. Like, what would it be in March? What would it be in June? Kind of a thing.
Yeah, I need to start selling feet pics and becoming a man of the night just to pay for my ticket next year. So
I don't know why, but when you said you're going to be a man of the night, I instantly went to Batman. I'm like, how is it? The man of the night gets Batman and woman of the night gets Celine from Moulin Rouge.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, if I have to become a masked vigilante to raise money, I will steal from the robbers and the bad villains to be able to go wild next year. I'll take that. I will also sell my body if necessary.
I appreciate your dedication to the cause because I'm going to be there. Like, I don't know how much it's going to cost yet. I don't know when it's going to be, but I'm going to be there.
Well, next episode, we're going to go in even deeper as we talk more about the speakers. Not only do we get to share our thoughts on the topics that were discussed, and we'll be sharing about that, but we also had the opportunity once they came off stage, which was a very good change on your part, Jess, to have them after they were relaxed, but asking them questions about what they love about the community and what they wanted people to take away from their talks as well. Because as we know, not every single person was going to be able to go. And Jess and I wanted to be able to give our planner pals a little nuggets of information that everybody had to pay a lot of money for.
Of course, as always, we do want to hear from you, planner pal. If you went to Go Wild this year, what was your kind of like favorite part about it? Whether that be community aspect or swag, totally fine. All options are welcome. And if you didn't get to come along, do you think you ever would, and what would incentivize you to? Let us know either in the comments, or you can email us at plannerpalspodcast@gmail.com, or hit us up over on Instagram at plannerpalspodcast.
Well, it was an amazing episode, Jess. It was super fun to talk about that and for us to get to go behind the scenes. And I do have to say, Jess, I know I got sappy in the group chat kind of afterwards, but how amazing it is to be able to see friends that you talk to online all the time. Like, the amount of times we had to explain to people how we time out when we actually can record was crazy. But to not only see you in person, I feel like that happens every year now, but to be up on stage and get to be the actual person-to-person coworker that you don't get to be with other people, and even with us and YouTube and everything else, it was amazing. So thank you for being open to doing that with me, because it made it extra awesome.
Yeah, thank you for being my emotional support planner pal up on stage. It's like people who have like their Snuggie or whatever. Not to say that you're like a sad blanket that people have toted around for like the better part of 20 years of their life, but
I mean, talk to some of my friends, they might say different things.
I appreciate you mentioning your quote sappy message in the group chat, because what was not seen was then once we got back to our hotel rooms from the Planned Jammer event, I was like, oh, this is a good time to call Vogel. And the first thing I did on the phone was like break down into tears, being like, my friends are all leaving tomorrow and I don't even get to see them anymore. And I'm not going to see them for another year. And I'm heartbroken. So like, you did fine. You actually just used nice words and stuff. And I was a blubbering mess.
No. Well, I didn't get to see that. I don't know if I want to see Jess cry. I feel like I'm so used to the happy Jess and go lucky Jess, like to be like, she has emotions? I did not know this.
Sorry, automaton Jess got let out and she's off doing other things. So you got like highly emotionally charged Jess instead.
Well, I won't let Jess say goodbye because clearly she has a problem with that. We don't want her to get emotional. So Planner Pals, we'll talk to you next time. Have a great one.